Okay, we live. Your mic is muted. Just hit the little mic under your screen. Peace to the family out there. We getting it in. We working through some technical dietary, technical malnutrition. There you go. You straight now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, like Verizon. Yep, you in the building.
Bet. Bet. Family, we in the building. Kinfo. See what they talking about? Let me see what they talk about. So push up a chair, come over here to the round table where we break it all down. Say what? We about to break bread right now. As you can see next to me, I got the minister Enqi, and we about to get it in on a whole nother level. For those who don't know, I'm gonna mention just a few things. You feel me? Just to bring you up to date for my experience. This is Convo with Gold. So my first occurrence of seeing this brother was young Enqi at a CM Freeman L. You know what I'm saying? Lecture, and he was introducing the brother. And if you know anything about being somebody who introduces somebody, your word got to be good. You know what I'm saying? People got to respect where you coming from. So for me to see him introduce a highly esteemed elder, I was like, hold on. I don't know who this person is in the movie, but I'm going to remember that face. You feel me? So as the movie began to play on, as time went along, I saw him again. And I was like, hold on. That's him with the shorties. He got mini me's. Oh no, they in trouble. I'm seeing Chase over here breaking down things. You feel me? So at the end of the day, family, this is a legacy. This is not something that's just a fly by night. Oh, it's cool to be over here talking about this type of information that nobody else is talking about. No, the things that he's gonna bring to the table that you've never heard before is from long, extensive research, time, experience around the subject matter. So I'm gonna need for y'all to be ready, get your mind open, get it open, because we're gonna implant a whole plethora of information. So that being said, I would love to introduce, as well as it's my honor to introduce to y'all Minister Enqi, the one and only. I don't know who else might be running around saying this, but look at that face, get a good look at it. Cause this ain't the first or the last time you gonna see it. You hear me? So that being said, step on up to the mic. You know what I mean? How you doing, King? How
Good,
you
good,
doing, my
good.
G? We got you in here.
I
Got you
respect
in here. I'm glad to have you.
I respect that intro, man. I respect that intro.
For sure, for sure. It's well deserved. It's well deserved. You hear me? You
It's
you, you came down. You got your splat going on. You splashing and shit. You calmed it down a little bit. They don't know. I had to put mine on. Just in case. I'm like, I don't know how he coming. I don't know how he coming today. It's strictly business. I see.
hey, we gotta get to the work. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get to the
Oh,
work.
how
Yeah,
you doing,
yeah. 2022.
Nah,
I
you
just gotta
already.
focus on healing the people and just getting this information out there because I and not just me, but I think a lot of us we've created a information based universe where
Mm-hmm.
we argue this information, we we debate the information, we study the information, we create friends around like minds on the information, like, so we kind of submerge ourselves in our own universes of whatever our study or whatever it is that we on, and we kind of take for granted after a while that the rest of the world knows what the fuck it is that we talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't, you know.
Yeah.
So um depending on what it is that you're trying to do, you might have to really um just lock in and really teach. I study some, I study and get mentorship from professional speakers, and the one thing that I learned from them that they've been trying to get me to focus on for years. It's like, yo, we just need you to buckle down and focus on one message. You have a wealth of information to bring to the people, but you can't really bring all that information to everybody because they can't learn that in one setting. So you have to get one
Mm,
message. You got to really like just repeat it like a single off a new album until it's burned into people's minds. So
mm,
my dream, in terms of my passion and my focus has always been, I wanted to create the same kind of impact on type 2 diabetes as Dr. Sebi did with HIV. You know what I'm saying? So, I said, okay, after having a wild 2021, I said, I'm going to just focus 2022 on, healing the people. That's what we need right now. So
nah,
that's it.
you
I,
definitely you
yeah, I
you
put all of
definitely brought it on in.
yeah, I took, all of, I want to say I took pretty much everything that I learned in the last 20 years, and then everything I learned, and that's information wise, but then, there's a part where you have to apply the things that you learn. So
Right.
we had the 40-day fruit fast that ran for the better part of a decade. And so, I got a chance to really study everybody that participated from a variety, from pretty much all walks of life, white folks, black folks, yeah, yellow, red, like Natural Tahuti used to say, black, white, or candy stripe. You know what I'm saying? I had a sick, healthy, professional, cancer patients, just a wide variety of people to study up close and personal on the same exact diet and learn and get to learn exactly how what I knew and what I was applying, how it impacted people. And
Mm-hmm.
sat down offline for the last, I want to say, uh, the better part of about 2 to 3 months. I was offline, and I was just putting all my research together, and now it's time to discuss it, share it with the people. So the last month or so been crazy because people either been like super excited with the information that they get from out of the article, or just I mean, but I always create haters and that kind of energy as well. But
Right.
so it's a lot of angry
That's what
niggas
I was
out
just
there.
finna say, cause you going into it, because I was about the first question I had was, is there anything that you want to talk about before we get into it? So since you got into it in that manner, I want to start unpacking some of that because a lot of people that what I'm
Well,
saying
yeah,
even went
okay,
to the
bet.
side, you know.
Well, what happened is
So
um a large part of my breakthroughs in terms of um, just understanding neurochemistry came from
mhm.
the eye of Heru. So a lot of people is angry about um, the eye of Heru information that's in my article. A lot of people are
So you got
upset.
some. Okay. So what you
Yeah.
got on the eye hair rule? What we doing?
Well, it's just that everybody what they've been saying up to this point has either been incorrect or incomplete with their understanding. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
people tattooing it on their body, looking like goofballs, and you didn't really know what you was looking at. Um, but then on the other side, you had a lot of black folks that been telling people melanin does photosynthesis. So when I come out and say that, that's incorrect, people get angry about that. And I think that I don't know, I think that we just got issues with ourself. I think it's a self-hate that we're dealing with because even the people that fuck with me to an extent, they're uncomfortable referencing me as the source for
Of
the
the
information
information.
that they teaching to get their money, right? And they don't
Right.
understand they don't understand how it works. When you are using somebody else's information, then you
Mm-hmm.
provide reference points. But if you did the
Right.
firsthand research yourself, you are the
Mm-hmm.
reference. You know what I'm saying? So um,
Exactly.
I think that it's just a matter of us being able to embrace our own blackness and our own genius that that creates that little blockage. That's why I started up a little group on Clubhouse called Genius Lives Matter. We need a Genius Lives Matter movement so that motherfuckers could come out of that brainwash. There's a reason why white people are continuously able to monetize black inspiration and black ideas and black creativity. And the reason is because we don't rally around it. So when somebody
Mm.
comes, like for instance, in science or biology more specifically, when somebody discovers something, it's named after the person that discovers it. And when you go to school, it's taught that way. You have the
Yeah.
Mason
Right.
Rapper way or the Krebs cycle. These are named after the person that discovered them. Black folks don't do that. They want to study your shit and then teach your shit without your name on it so that they could tell people they was researching. No, nigga, you wasn't researching. Watching
Right.
my video is not a form of you researching. I'm researching. What you're doing is
Fact.
listening to my research. So when you go out in the world and you telling people shit that you learned from me, you're supposed to say, "Oh, well, Dr. Enqi said," or "I learned from Dr. Enqi that." You know what I'm saying? Or you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to say, "He's a fucking
Facts.
idiot," and let me tell you why Dr. Enqi is incorrect. You know what I'm saying? But either way, my name is supposed to be in that sentence before you finish with woo woo woo. But
No, that makes perfect sense. You can't go about any other situation and not, mention, like you say, it has to be a form of self-hate. And I think most people that, limit themselves to these different criterias that make you have this self-hate would definitely agree that, or should know that that's what comes with that. Like, once you start only limiting yourself to I'm black or I'm this, no, there's things that come along with that. It's certain things that people done been taught. This what you do when you're black, or this is what you do when you white. You know what I'm saying? It just so happens a lot of people in this country been taught being black is synonymous with not having no sense, being dumb. You know what I'm saying? So when we get
that's
into the
it.
study of the
Yeah,
genes,
yeah.
you feel me? We
And,
find out some other
yeah, we find out some
things,
different shit. Yeah. And to take it even
some other
further,
things.
yeah. And to take it even further, um, the brainwashing is so deep that the um the fact that like right now, gold teeth, gold chain, hoodie, like if you say that you're a doctor or a scientist and you have on gold teeth, immediately that shit, that's not what conjures in their mind as a scientist. No, you need to have a short haircut. You need to be a bald head, or like you need to dress and be groomed in the same way as the Europeans that come in under that title. You need to look like them. If you don't look
Right,
like
right.
them, If you don't talk like them, then you can't be a scientist because clearly they define what a scientist is in these niggas'
Right,
minds. So
right, right.
on the one hand, where this the same people that will call you a sellout if you present yourself in that way, if you stay amongst the people and you speak the
Hmm.
language of the people will then say you can't be a scientist because look how you talk, look where you at, look how you dress. You see what I'm saying? So you get caught
Nah, that's
in between the rock and the hard place because if you start to put on the white jacket and you start to talk like this
hmm
and that, oh, he's selling out. He over there on that side. But then if you stay
right,
with the
right.
people and you speak the language and you dress and you know, then that's also an
Ain't no
issue.
way
You
you
know what I'm
supposed to
saying?
know what you know when you look like that. Yeah,
Correct.
I get that.
Correct. So it's
Totally
a
get that.
blockage that lives in niggas' minds. You know what I'm saying? Niggas have a
Yep,
blockage.
it definitely is. I
So,
I
yeah,
definitely agree. I talk to my people about this all the time. Like, the war that you think is going on outside is really within until you recognize what is really within you. You see what I'm saying? So once you recognize what it really takes to make you in the way that you come off to people, then you will understand, hold on, this is why I've been put into this trance to not even think about this. To the point, like you said, it puts you in a conundrum. If you look like you have locks, gold teeth, look like the way of the urban, how we dress, you feel me? Then you can't
you
have
should be a
no sense
criminal.
about yourself.
Right. You
Yeah,
should be a
you feel
criminal
me?
because that's
But
that's
if
what
you
that
dress like, but if you dress like a scientist, then you a sellout. Like,
right.
it's at some
That's
point, that's why the diamond comes from out the rough, because you begin to say, you know what, forget all that. Forget all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna tell y'all the truth that I have. Or, like you alluding to, a lot of brothers and sisters, they just downsize themselves to the point, they have no legacy, which is created by the information that you leave behind to help other people further their own life. So the main reason for me getting involved in this walk of life and even building with a brother as such is because I recognize legacy comes from the information that we leave behind, y'all. So before we get too far away from the Kemetic Egyptian information, I would like for the brother to tell y'all some of the secrets that's related to the Ankh from his perspective that a lot of people do not talk about, as well as the meaning.
the Ankh. Um,
Yeah.
that's a good question. I think the Ankh represents duality. I think the Ankh represents male female. I think the Ankh represents electromagnetism. So it's plain, straightforward, cut and dry for me. I think the Ankh represents electromagnetism. I think Kemet was a electromagnetic society. I think they were very advanced in terms of um, not just the understanding of what electromagnetism was, but the applications of electromagnetism. And I think they were very, very, very well versed in the understanding of water and how to use water in a variety of different ways. And I even have reason to believe that their mathematics was based around um, the water molecule. So yeah, that would be my answer.
No, that's precisely what I was, looking to hear. Like, we can go on all day. People like to talk about Egypt and Kemet all day. I don't want anybody to think that we forgot about it, nor are we going to, stick on that subject
People like
all night. But I know you said something about the Eye of Horus. So before, you got off of the topic, I wanted to make sure to go back into that. Um, Now, as far as, the type of topic I touch on a regular, we deal with vitality and health. And I know holistic approaches, as well as just dealing with health in general, is something that you alluded to earlier with the fasting. A lot of people don't understand the importance of a fast. Um, I would like for you to touch on like what led to you even thinking about fasting. Like, because for me, the first time I ever heard about fasting was as a kid, them talking about fasting for church and stuff like that. So I would like to know what's your understanding or where did that come from with you?
Being a fat ass by nature, like I'm a fat boy by nature. So I started my health journey in the hood. I started my health journey in the hood. Well, I kind of always been like in shape, but fat and in shape, fat and in shape. Like my uncles and older, like the older gods, always had me like off and on working out, calisthenics and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Since I was really young. So the only times I get fat is when I stop exercising, which I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, from time to time, you just turn
Mm-hmm.
into a bum, preoccupied with some other passion, and you slip off your workout shit. But the problem with me is that I like eating a lot of ratchet shit, and yeah, and I like eating a lot. I like eating a lot of varieties of ratchet shit, and I like eating a lot of amount. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a fat nigga at heart. And so you know, my journey, I guess, started with me hitting maybe 263, 264, 265, um, and being
Mm-hmm.
fat, kind of being like brainwashed, like a lot of people, into thinking that that reflected success. We have that idea that you eating, like I got compliments from my mom, my girl at the time, oh, you getting money, you look good, you putting on weight, that's what they say. And they don't realize that that's a subtle form of brainwashing, because we associate obesity with wealth, and we associate losing weight with sickness, right? Because on the flip side is,
Right.
yo, I ain't seen that nigga in a minute, man. He done lost mad weight. That nigga, he probably sick, or he probably, so we got that shit in our mind, and it should be the exact opposite. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Looking fit, that should be a sign that you're successful and doing well for yourself. When you're getting fat, that should be a sign that you're getting sick. You know what I'm saying? But I did it the hard way, the old fashioned way the first time. Just a lot of gallons of water. I used to wear garbage bags to the track, pull ups, push ups, and that kind of started my journey. Um, but the fast happened years and years and years later, after I was already Minister Enqi in the world, and had some degree of success healing people all over with various different situations. And people heard about my daughter having broke her neck and spine, and me being able to heal her up, and my aunt with cancer, and just I got some people in the
Hold
music.
on, hold on, hold on. Cause yeah, I remember the music business part. Now, for a lot of us, hold on one second. Got a little noise. All right, can you hear me now?
Hmm.
For a lot of us, when it comes to our children, um, it seems like there's a mechanism within us that we just get so overwhelmed that we almost just feel like we have to go to somebody else to deal with it, right? So for you to have a daughter who, done had a few broken bones, basically is what you were saying, in
Well, more than
serious
a few more
places.
bones. Yeah, her neck was broken in two places. Her spine was broken in three places. Her pelvis was crushed. Left leg crushed. But no, it's not like I fixed her at the house. You know what I'm saying? No, we was in three hospitals, and the hospitals have pretty much all agreed that she was paralyzed. At best, if she made it out of the ICU, that she would be paralyzed for life. But they was like, it's 50-50. She might not even
Like,
make it type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Forget being paralyzed. It was like, if she makes it alive out of ICU, she'll be paralyzed for life. So um in hindsight, sometimes, if God wants you to do something, I know y'all debate different shit over here, but I believe in God. You know what I'm saying? So that's how my life run. And if God wants you to do something, you're gonna be backed into a situation where you don't really have much choice but to do that thing. So it's not like I had so much confidence in myself and, so much information that I felt like, oh yeah, well, let me jump
Mm-hmm.
in. I could take care of this. You know what I'm saying? Nah, it was three different hospitals, all of them saying the same thing. You lucky if she lives through this. Because basically a nurse had went to sleep in her car and jumped the curb and ran over my children. And my youngest at the time,
Oh,
4, she kind of got hit the worst, you know what I'm saying? So the car like chewed her up. And so they was like, yeah, she may not even live, but if she do, she'll be paralyzed and whoop, whoop, whoop. So after hearing that from 3 hospitals, because I'm, I don't take no for answer. You know what I mean? Niggas is, we cut
right.
a certain way. So I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, she lucky if she survived. Yeah, fuck this hospital. Fuck you. Fuck this hospital. Like that kind of energy. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
to
saying?
the max.
So
To the max.
yeah, until I got her to the best doctor, the best pediatrician for trauma, and he was like, it's, this is what it is, sir. So it's no other options. We're gonna do our best, but this is what it is. And at that point is where it was like, okay, I had my come to God moment, like nigga, this got to work. You know what I'm saying? And I went into my kitchen and put, my best foot forward in terms of what I knew at the time, to stimulate stem cells and nerves and neurons, and um, created the formula that people know of now as mom atomics. And the accident happened August 28th, and within 5 or 6 months I had her back around on her feet doing the thing. And
Mm.
that
Oh,
that kind of yeah, that kind of created a that story spread around the neighborhood, around the family.
you already know it did.
Yeah, and then so people just start asking me for help from there. But like I tell everybody, I was working for the white man, and the white man was paying me well at Verizon. I was getting like 80,000 a year. So I wasn't thinking nothing about quitting my job, starting no motherfucking herbal nothing, nothing. I never thought about becoming
Right,
a
right,
herbal nothing, a natural. I never thought about becoming a doctor. My pops was a Harlem kingpin. So in my mind, I was either going to sell drugs forever or like, go into the music business or something. Like I never thought about growing up to become no fucking healer. You know what I'm saying? Like that just wasn't in the cards ever. I didn't know of Dr. Sabi or Dr. Africa at the time. None of that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
right.
It was just
Now you just said two important names. Now one of them, I'm almost sure that like I'd be surprised if they know both of them. With a lot of recent events, a lot of people have heard of Dr. Sabi. As far as Dr. Layla Africa, anything as far as what he brought to the table that sticks out to you that you feel like, if somebody was to ask, can you tell me two things about Layla Africa that stick out like is important for me to know? Like, is there anything that he brought to the table health wise that you felt like people slept on him about?
Dr. Africa was a crazy nigga.
Straight up. Straight
Ah,
up. Shout
that's
out
what I
to
was
him.
saying
Shout out to
about Dr.
Baba.
Africa. But no. I
Shout
would
out
say
to
this.
Baba, G.
Yeah, I would say definitely go get his books. You know what I'm saying? He got a couple of classics like Nutricide. I think if yeah, I think Nutricide is a classic. I think the other book is a classic too. I mean, he got a bunch of good shit out there, but I think it's two books that's really they're probably
Nutricide.
they're probably floating around this motherfucker. But he got a big, thick,
What's
it's like white and green book. It's like on the healing, it's like on holistic healing history. I don't think that
mm,
anybody has put together a tighter book than that on the history of holistic healing. Um,
holistic
so
healing
I,
and Nutricide?
So I think, well, the neutral side is just like him going the fuck off. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what Dr. Africa is known for, going the fuck off. That's what the fuck he do. He go the fuck off. You know what I'm saying? Like he just go off. Like his class is like him going off on you for like 2 hours, but with the information. So that's how he kept you
What's the
engaged and
Nutricide
kept.
conversation though?
No, no, no.
What's
That's how he kept you engaged, and it was always like a wealth of information in there. But
oh, okay,
I
okay.
think his I
Oh,
think I think the book with the history in it, the neutral side book was classic, but the book with the history in it is a must. And then I also think um what personally inspired me maybe from Dr. Africa was he was the first person that I listened to start to begin like highlighting differences between black people's physiology and other groups of people. I think that was really
mm,
I think that was really important, and I think I probably carried that with me to where I'm at, and just kept building on that to go even further than what he started, like to finish what he started, because my goal always as a youth looking up has always been to research and prove, verify, and continue the work of the elders. Where a lot of
right.
people nowadays they want to study and make a name for themselves by debunking the elders. You know what I'm saying? Like my thing has always been to reaffirm what they was doing and take it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's what I think he bring to the table that was unique. Like he came with that.
Now,
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
now, when you said his classifications of like, was you saying like because I seen one lecture of his where he was breaking down how you can tell the difference in different ethnic groups based on the earwax and the different things that's proven clinically on the child development. We're talking about that, or was you talking about something else?
Well, he went into a lot of differences, but absolutely, those are some of the things that he elaborated on. Sure.
Yeah, I think y'all definitely should tap into that because we can go on for days about Barbara Africa, like straight up. But another thing that a lot of y'all, you might have seen Minister Enqi here, might have been in one of your favorite artists' sessions. So for a lot of us that are into, the genius conversation, the intellectual conversations, a lot of us feel like, once we get into that range of thinking or that range of, putting ourselves in that situation, nobody wants to fool with us, especially from the music standpoint. So how did you even get to the point of, it was almost like an OG situation as far as I'm concerned. Like it wasn't just, oh, you in the studio, you want an opportunity for 20 minutes with this artist. No, it was like, hey, so how you take care of this, and how can I do this to increase my brain frequency so I can produce better music? So my question is, how did you wind up in that particular situation to where you was an advisor to artists, basically?
Again, like I never try to do these things. It just comes about. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
me myself, I have been running around in the music. Like I'm from the South Bronx. You know what I'm saying?
Shout
Like
out to the
so,
Bronx.
yeah. So and then I'm an outside type of. I'm outside. You know what I'm saying? So
Talk your talk, shit.
rap, if you was outside in the early 80s and mid 80s, like you grew up out in the streets, you're a part of the music. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
um from early on, like when KRS-One was homeless, for instance. These are just examples. Like I could provide a zillion examples, but when KRS-One was homeless, he lived in a shelter. I don't
What?
remember
Who knew that?
KRS-One.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying, who knew that? You know what I'm saying? Like that's some hip
people,
facts
yeah. Well,
that we
maybe
didn't
the
know.
younger generation may not know, but yeah, this the older gods. Yeah, everybody. So when early
The
on,
bridge is over. The bridge is
yeah, yeah, early on, his early music, early, he made in the homeless shelter, and
mm,
it just so happened that my close friend at the time, his grandmother, Miss Johnson, was the one who ran the shelter. So she used to bring home
right.
the cassettes. So way before anybody ever heard of KRS-One, we used to listen to the cassettes. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't know that this nigga was gonna turn out to be like KRS. You know what I'm saying? Like this is just
Right, right,
Johnson bringing us home these fucking rap demo tapes from a nigga that's in the fucking homeless shelter, and she just give it to us, and we be playing
right.
video games with the shit playing in the background. You know what I'm saying? Then years
Mm-hmm,
later, when
mm-hmm.
the shit went boom, then we was like, oh shit, that's the nigga from the shelter, you know. Woo, woo. But I'm just saying, like, that's the proximity for me in the music, and it always was like that. You know what I'm saying? At the early Howard homecomings, what Biggie talk about, you know what I'm saying? I was with Biggie down there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? At the Howard homecoming with my man Capone drumming,
Mm,
bucking. You see, at that when I was my older brother Book, you know, and he's still in Harlem doing his thing. But he was a part of the package that Puff was trying to shop to create his label deal.
right.
You know what I'm saying? As a group, the Bronx Zoo. And so I would get on stage with them as a little nigga, you know what I'm saying? They performing, rapping, doing their thing, and you know, I get up there and do a little freestyle or something, but it was just me, you know, 11, 12, 13 years old, getting stage experience. So
Right, right.
I got to be Tupac at that time and just a lot of shit running around, you know, just moving around. You know what I'm saying? So um
Bro, you was in the mix.
yeah, yeah. So fast
You was in
forward
the
years
mix.
later. Yeah. So fast forward years later, you know, people know me as Minister Enqi, Dr. Enqi in this space now. They see me with my babies. It's a different kind of energy. But when they start talking to me, asking me certain things, you know, I could just share information with them, enlighten them on shit. So they like, yo, you know, they ask me studio questions or music questions. You know, I know a thing or two. So, and I always been an open book with anything I know. I share it. If I don't know, I say I don't know. So, you know, I just kind of walked into a space where you give good advice to some people, and then you know they turn around and tell other people when niggas ask them questions like, "Yo, you might want to go ask such and such
So,
because
yeah,
you know they told me." And then you know, over the years, I've been able to meet, um, meet some folks that's that made some good music. So yeah,
it came back to you. It came back to you. As
yeah.
far as because you know I like to touch on this health. I gotta go right back to it. As far
Wow,
as the mama tonics, ain't that what you said?
there you go.
Yeah,
I like that.
you know, I got to, you know what I'm saying? I got to keep it on that topic because honestly speaking, for me and my health trip, it started with that. I think bro was finna put something up. Bro, do what you do. Um, when it comes to the mama tonics, wow. Okay, we know it started with, you know, what happened to your daughter, right?
Sure thing.
Okay. So from there, hmm, what led to you learning which herbs or combinations to put together for you to even, you know what I'm saying, call the compound mama tonics? Like, how is it related to mama? Because I hear mama in that title. You see what I'm saying? So break that down for us. Unpack it, please.
Well, I originally got the title from the name from like Mother Nature, Mother Netter, Mother Earth.
Hmm.
Um and my focal point of study, which was, atoms and the periodic table, like that was my early study into health was, just science, you know what I'm saying? Textbook shit, you know what I'm saying? Like nerd type textbook, like so I didn't get well versed into like, you know, Africa and some of the black healers until way later on.
Hmm.
So my first understanding was that the plants are what make the minerals or the elements bioavailable for you. So going from the raw elements on the periodic table, um, the the way that those things become bioavailable for you to put them in your body is by the plants. Plants take metals and rocks basically and turn them into nutrients. A lot of times when we talk about plants, we get wrapped up in photosynthesis. We get wrapped up in the top part
Mm-hmm.
of the plant. We always get caught in the flash and the shine. You know what I'm saying? A very few of us,
Right,
you
right.
know, it's on the dirt. You know what I'm saying? And plants do dirt. You know what I'm saying? And plants make they do the
Definitely.
photosynthesis and make carbohydrates for us, but it's also about their roots, combining with the fungi and the microorganisms in the soil to break down rocks and metals and make those things bioavailable for us too. So that's really where that came from. And that was a liquid. It's still a liquid, but the reason why I even got into liquids was because at the time my daughter was in ICU, like, half unconscious. So it was nothing that I could like feed her at the time. So I had to make a liquid solution that I could just drop under her tongue and just let it go directly to the bloodstream that way. You know what I'm saying? Because she could barely move at all. You know what I'm saying? So, um, but yeah, it just came from textbook understanding of minerals and just kind of getting to the basics of what stimulates cell growth, cell movement, cell regeneration, cell division, and combining that with what I understood about hydrogen and water, and
Mm-hmm.
able to being able to create something that I could give to my baby in ICU. I wasn't thinking about um going into business or anything at the time. It was just that was for her. I didn't
Right,
even
right.
remake I didn't even remake it for anybody for a while. Like, even when people start asking me questions about helping them with shit, I would just suggest things to them like, hey, you should go do this or you
Mm-hmm.
should go, you know what I'm saying? Go grab this herb for your stomach or for your, whatever, like just, for your joint, you know what I'm saying? For your sex or,
Right. Get
like,
it
whatever.
together.
Yeah. If anything, that was what I was passionate about studying early on was Tantra. You know what I'm saying? I think that was tantric study probably got me deeper into anything than that's probably why I got so many children too. But
Let's
that was
so let's get it. Let's get into it, cause like I said,
no,
we
no, no,
like to get it in
no, no,
over
no.
here too.
I don't fuck
So
with the tantric study. Niggas aren't
no, no,
mature
no.
enough.
I was gonna talk about what you were saying as far as being able to recommend certain things for certain things. You feel me? As far as that goes, what would be, since you don't had the time to study those different herbs or things that you could suggest, what would be your suggestion for somebody who might be dealing with erectile, you know what I'm saying, issues?
Okay,
Like
well,
what
let
would
me say
be
this because
let's go.
my first journey into the healing sciences um was with the elements and my so my mind has always stayed that way. So where
Mm-hmm.
most people would recommend herbs, my thing is the nutrients. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm,
that's what plants really do is it's a carrier for nutrients.
provide
And
nutrients. Right.
yeah, and sometimes plants are unavailable. Like if you're looking for a certain herb, right? And you hear that a herb does whatever. You get this herb and it'll help you with your blood sugar. What if you can't find
Mm-hmm.
that herb? What if that herb sold out? What if that herb is not wherever it's growing, they having a situation with the harvest or whatever? That herb is not available.
Right.
If you don't know what are the key active nutrients inside that plant that has that reaction in your body, then you fucked. Whereas if you know what the key nutrients are or the key compounds in the plant, whether it be minerals, antioxidants, or whatever, you could then look for that in different plants because the plant kingdom,
Facts.
it has a lot of properties that it shares. So anything that you can find in one plant, if you know what you're looking for, you'll find it in 5, 10, 15 other plants. So
Y'all hear that, family?
yeah,
That's
so
important, y'all. That's important to
yeah,
know for real.
yeah. Now the the one thing that might make it a little difficult is names vary by country. So
Right, right.
yeah, so if there's a herb that people are familiar with using in Africa, they may also use that herb in Jamaica, or they may also use that herb in China, but it won't have the same name. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know, so then you gotta play that game and get familiar with the names in the different places. Like America's shit is based on Latin, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be. And then in the Caribbean, for instance, you got a lot of slang terms. So that'll fuck you up and block you out if you're not really a part of the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll say they making bush tea. Bush tea could be any goddamn fucking thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Come
that
on,
don't mean
come on.
that ain't a specific thing. You know what I'm saying? So you can't even listen to that. Oh, I'm making bush tea. Like nigga, that ain't saying nothing right there. You didn't tell me shit. You go to your computer and try to look up bush tea, you ain't gonna
You're
find
gonna be all
the
day.
right. You know what I'm saying? So you got to figure out what it is they talking about. Even like CMOS. You know what I'm saying? CMOS
Mm-hmm.
is not CMOS. CMOS is a nickname. You know what I'm saying? All sea
Talk
mosses
about
are
it.
actually not mosses. None of them are mosses. They're actually algae. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to study sea mosses, you have to actually get into phycology and look up algae. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll start to say, oh, okay, well, bladderwrack, kelp, chondrus crispus, gracilaria, guso, like these are all names of algae. Whether you're dealing with reds, greens, blues, browns, so
Mm-hmm.
um, just learning that space, you know what I'm saying, will take you to the carrier. Then, you study the environment and you get a working understanding of what you can expect from plants in a certain type of environment. Um, and then you start to know where you can find certain types of nutrients, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's just that kind of understanding. And then from there, you got to learn the body. You know what I'm saying?
No,
You
that's
you can't
facts.
it's another whole study to it. So you got to learn the body and then what the body requires, you know. And from there, once you learn what the body requires, then you could create a marriage or a synergy between what you can find in the plants and what the body requires, and then try to provide that in the best medium, right? Because even delivery is a whole nother science, right? So there's a
Right,
third
right.
science. First, you got to learn the plants, then you got to learn the body, then you got to learn how to make what's in the plants deliverable to the different areas of the body. You know what I'm saying? And
Do you have a favorite element? Because you're talking about nutrients, you know what I'm saying? Instead of focusing on one herb, is
so a
there an
favorite,
element that sticks out?
I don't know. Dr. Sabi was on his iron shit, hard body. You know what I'm saying? So I would say
Iron
for
Man
me,
shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Dr. Sabi was that. I deify Dr. Sabi as the God Ogun. I really
Come
see
on
it.
now.
Yeah, yeah, I really see him that way. But for me, it would probably be phosphorus. I think that would probably be my main. That would probably be
Phosphorus.
my
And
like my
Baba
favorite.
Africa would have to be
Form.
Baba Africa would have to be like who? Alegba.
You could definitely put him with the god of herbs, because a lot of people came at me when I said that Dr. Sabi was the god Ogun, and they was like, "How the fuck is Dr. Sabi the god Ogun, and Ogun ain't got nothing to do with herbs?" I'm like, "See, y'all niggas don't understand that I'm Haitian. I know goddamn well that Ogun is not
Come on
like I
now.
know what I'm doing." But Dr. Sabi came and he based a lot of what he was teaching and his healing system and everything about just being the peace with the magnetic, you know what I'm saying, and iron, you know what I'm saying. That was his thing, iron, you know what I'm saying. So um and if people know anything about Ogun is the god of iron, and Ogun was also the god of self-defense. And I think a lot
Mm,
of times when people think of self-defense or war, you know what I'm saying, or defending yourself at war, right? We think physical, like we think outside the body. We think self-defense like martial art or having a gun or a knife or a weapon or mace or fighting or something like that. But we don't really think of
Right.
self-defense in terms of nutrition. We don't think of self-defense in terms of immunity. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people need to think of. When you think self-defense, you need to first think of self and defense. You know what I'm saying? And that would be
Mm-hmm.
immune.
No, that's facts.
And being a god of iron, you got to remember that you have 100 trillion pieces of iron. 100 trillion pieces of iron circulating in your bloodstream at all times. So he was definitely qualified to speak on, what he was speaking on, and come from his standpoint, as being the founder of the Ogun Research Institute back in the day, and bringing a whole new level of awareness to the human body, and what it represented. And a lot of people use the fact that he was locked up for some of his claims as something to say, well, maybe he didn't know what he was talking about, or maybe he was making shit up, or pseudo, or whatever the case may be. But should they should they actually listen to what he was saying and do a little bit of research, they will find out that three white gentlemen said the exact same thing that Dr. Sabi was saying just 5 years later after his court case, and they got a Nobel Peace Prize for it. So
Facts.
clearly, he knew what the fuck he was talking about when he was saying that a carbon-based diet can heal you from a majority of today's illnesses, if not all of today's illnesses, because these white guys came right behind him and said they discovered, the secret of longevity and health, and
Founding
curing
youth or something. Yeah.
AIDS, cancer, and everything, by getting people to incorporate carbon-based antioxidants in their diet, C59,
Hmm.
C60. And so if people want to look it up, they can look up C60, and look up the story of C60, and they'll be like, oh shit, that's Enqi telling the truth. This niggas got Nobel Peace Prize for telling niggas to eat carbon. Yeah. So, a lot of times, and that's why I made up the movement on Clubhouse, Genius Lives Matter, because we don't respect our own geniuses. You know what I'm saying? We don't. You know what I'm saying? All we do is look to tear them down,
Facts.
because in the back of our mind, that's a way for us to pull ourselves up, is by tearing down our genius,
Mm-hmm.
making them look like you know, they nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, nigga, he the same as I am. He don't know shit. We need to go listen to the white man if we want to know something, because black folks are clearly incapable of higher thought, and efficient research, and being a resource for intellectual, just an intellectual resource. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta
Yeah.
really start digging deeper into what people are saying when they're saying it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they show that they're uncomfortable with, you know, black men as their references, they're uncomfortable with black genius. What they're really saying is they're uncomfortable with their own skin, and they don't really think highly of, the genetics that, they mama and they papa and they grandmamas and grandpapas, and all the way back to infinity, left them. You know what I'm saying? Because that's our true
Right.
birthright. The one true birthright that we have is our genetics. It's not amount of money or whatever the case may be. It's your genetics. That's what your family
Facts.
left you. They left you
Facts.
intelligence. They left you your body. They left you, and there's a wealth of there's a lot of wealth there. I was gonna say there's a wealth of wealth there. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there's a lot of wealth there. If we know how to mine it properly.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Knowing how to mine it properly. And as far as we getting ready to transition into this conversation that y'all see placed up on the screen, um, I wanted to ask one more thing that my good brother wanted me to ask you. As far as the diets, right? How
Okay.
how we can have an earthly diet of vegetables, you know what I'm saying? And with that being said, how can a human become the embodiment of what we talking about, the gods or an Avenger? You see what I'm saying? For those who understand comics, you know what I mean?
All
So
right. Well, that's not
like,
well. Hold on. So that's two different. That's two different things. You know what I'm saying? We not Avengers.
hey,
That's
clear it up.
yeah.
Clear it
That's
up.
cartoon character shit. You know what I'm saying? But in a real sense, right? In a real sense, though, right? If we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about God, right? Um, and I was in a rabbit hole with Hocus for a fifth. Shout out to Hocus. You know what I'm saying? But he asked me. You know what I'm
Shout out
saying?
to
Because
Hocus.
he leans towards his atheist, his atheist shit. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us do because I
Mm-hmm.
think the problem is that we try to read too deeply into anthropomorphization, and we don't just leave it on face value. You know what I'm saying? So if we try to um if we try to make God and anthropomorphize the idea, I think it's clear that that's not a real thing. There's no such thing as that. It's we might as well say Avengers. You know what I'm saying? But if we go to the Quran tells you that God is light. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. If we go to the Bible tells you that God is light. If we go back to the pyramid text would tell you that God is light. You know what I'm saying? They'll go even further in detail and tell you that God is the stars. You know what I'm saying? Specifically, your universal sources of light, right? So, that's the space I'm in. You know what I'm saying? So, in that kind of
Mm-hmm.
understanding, only you melanin dominant individuals could actually embody God in the flesh, because it is pigments that allow you to absorb light, store light, transduce light, and re-radiate light, right? So
Mm-hmm.
although everybody has melanin, everybody has pigments in their body. If you didn't have any sort of
Right.
melanin in your body, you'd be a vegetable. Your brain wouldn't work. You wouldn't be a living thinking person.
Exactly.
But having
It's something used to compute light, right?
having the full range of pigment, which it is to be a you melanin dominant person. Um, yeah, that's the embodiment of God in the flesh itself. You know what I'm saying? Only we capable of shining to that extent, pun intended. So, in terms of a diet that would allow that to happen, it would just be a pigment and fiber based diet. You know what I'm saying? That's the
Mm.
new terminology I had to create, because the vegan terminology is getting played out, and it's getting confusing for people. So it's a lot of niggas that's going vegan, and they not really experiencing no health benefits. They not really experiencing no pipe gain benefits, impotence, your question
You
from
feel me?
earlier. They're not really
I'm just
experiencing the
saying.
right. They're not experiencing the benefits of what it means to really be a vegan, because
Mm-hmm.
they're on the other side of it. And when I first started out
Facts.
in my vegan journey, like, I'm always the black sheep. You know what I'm saying? Niggas always, when I speak, I always make niggas angry. Like, no matter what, that's just a talent I have. You know what I'm saying? For making niggas angry. You know what I'm saying? So when I started out
Mm-hmm.
with a vegan, like, largely I created this culture. You know what I'm saying? Me and a couple of my guys from Philly. But because at that time, vegan was kind of like lame. You know what I'm saying? It was like a bunch of feminine
Facts.
looking.
It definitely was.
Yeah, the men was looking feminine, and so it was a whole bunch of re-imaging that needed to be done to the vegan idea in order for it to grab hold in pop culture the way it is now. So
Mm-hmm.
when I first started coming into the vegan life, it was an underground thing, and then you had the PETA type of people. That was the vegan
Right.
culture, like the save the animals people, right? So when I started, I had to distinguish myself from the save the animal people because at the time I'm still wearing furs and shearlings, and like I'm still am now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, nigga, I don't give a fuck about the animals, nigga. Lions gotta save lions, elephants gotta save elephants, nigga. I'm trying to save me. I'm an endangered species in America, nigga. We going extinct here. So I was like, yo,
Right.
I'm creating a brand new vegan movement. This ain't about saving the animals. This is about saving black folks. Period. So
Mm-hmm.
that needed to be established first. You know what I'm saying? And then as the culture became cool, people began to see that you could still do what you do, walk your walk, talk your talk, and be a vegan. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't mean that you was weak, you was soft, or whatever the case may be. I had professional bodybuilders, NFL players that came up under the wing, um or under the teachings anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because these niggas are huge. They could just, what I'm saying? These yes, I can't say under the wing, but up under the teachings, and started to really fuck with a nigga. Like it began to spread in different communities, and then the vision of it changed. And when that changed, the
Right.
trend began to be, oh, I'm going vegan. Oh, I'm on the alkaline, but people are slipping back into that major movement. So for most people, when they say they're going vegan, what they're really saying is they're avoiding meat. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I don't
Right.
eat meat. I stop eating meat. And in
That's
that
fact.
case, you're not really making no health change. You know what I'm saying? Because the veggie meat from the supermarket usually has somewhere around the same amount of saturated fat as the regular animal meat. And if you
Mm.
couple that up with, rice, mac and cheese, pastas, and all that kind of shit, your plate's not that much different. You're still getting the high saturated fat and the high blood sugar. Like you didn't change. You just
Right.
avoid meat. So I have to
Exactly.
switch terminology again to
Mm-hmm.
pigment based diet and fiber based diet.
Vegan.
Because when you eat
Pigment and
actual
fiber.
plants, yeah, when you eat plants, a lot of people don't know because they don't really know how plants, like the physiology of plants, the nutrients inside a plant is locked up between the pigment and the fiber. So that's the whole process of making processed food is you remove the pigment, you remove the fiber, and that gets rid of the antioxidants, the vitamins and minerals with it. So now you're left with empty calories. So you're
Mm.
basically creating a poisonous substance. You know what I'm saying? And so um, that has to be the focus now. You know what I'm saying? So in the 40-day
Right.
fast, we put people back on the pigment based diet, which is real plants. You know what I'm saying? Not plant based. Plant based leaves room for you to make, you to call a Beyond Burger a plant
Mm-hmm.
based, not a plant based diet, family. That's you're avoiding meat, which is good.
That's a plant
That's a
processed
start. That's
diet.
supposed to be,
Plant
yeah, that's
processed.
right. That's like KFC chicken. You know that that's not real chicken. That's why they call it a chicken product. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
when you get almond
Mm-hmm.
milk from certain places, almond milk is not real cow's milk. It's not animal milk, so they call
Right.
it a milk product. You see what I'm saying? So
No
there's a
product.
way that they talk
Mm-hmm.
about synthetics. So when we get into plants, you actually have to consume fruits and vegetables and not just like on the side. Not you woke up and you had a whole bunch of fake veggie shit with a whole bunch of starch and then you had an apple. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, the bulk of
Right.
what
Right.
you eat has to actually be plants. Then you can say that you're consuming high amounts of pigments, high amounts of fiber, which tend to be the keys to really transforming your body around. So that is
Mm.
primarily what the 40-day fast focuses in on. It's not necessarily fruit like grapes and oranges, but fruit of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Everything is on
No.
deck as it comes from the earth. Mother Earth is the focal point. And Yeah, that was the whole shit. You know what I'm saying? Just getting people to focus back in on that, and then
Mm-hmm.
being able, for me, being able to study the results from a lot of different people on these diets, because the other piece to the 40-day fast is it's really eight different, rather five different fasts in one. So you have one diet for 8 days, then we switch for another 8 days, and we switch for another 8 days, and we go through 5 periods of 8 days where we modify the diet. And so, we were able to collect the information and really, you know, put it together, and that's kind of, where the article comes from.
So getting into the article, because there's a lot of people out here that's whether they have family members or dealing with diabetes themselves. Um, I would definitely like for you to dig into that conversation, the relationship between melanin and diabetes, and what led to you creating this article.
Well, the first thing that I noticed was that um, diabetes targets melanin, right? So, in two ways, you can see that clear for yourself. You don't need to know no fancy science or no shit like that. In one way, you could just look at the
Hmm.
fact that Black people have a 200% um, ratio to Caucasians in terms of your potential to get type 2 diabetes. So that right
Hmm.
there blew my mind,
I
because in
always
my mind,
wondered that.
100% is total. Like, so in my mind, I don't even understand going past 100%. Like, nigga, wait a minute, we at 200%. You know what I'm saying? So that's like, that was insane for me. Like, how the fuck do we get to 200% risk factor? Like, clearly that means that this is something that targets us. So in a very common
Yeah,
sense way,
yeah.
the only real difference that you could see on the outside from different from Black people and white people is the fucking pigment. So right there, I'm
The
like, okay,
pigment.
well, if 100% us, it must somehow be associated with our pigment, right?
Mm.
Um, and then the other piece is maybe a little bit more nuanced, but your A1C number, right? So anybody that's pre-diabetic or diabetic, they know that the severity of the diabetes is gauged by your A1C number. They test the A1C number of diabetics all the time to see if you're doing better, you're doing worse, what the diabetes is doing inside you.
Right.
And the A1C is basically a number system so they could check how much the sugar has coated the pigments in your body, right? Because your hemoglobin is a pigment, just like melanin, just like chlorophyll, right? So
Right. Okay.
that's what the A1C measures. It's measuring how much the sugars have coated the pigments, because that's what sugar does. So those two things early on kind of piqued my curiosity to really go in deeper and explore why it seemed like this shit was just targeting us. You know what I'm saying? And then once I got into the study and I started really looking at diabetes, then I noticed that um, all of the damage from diabetes is done in pigment centers around the body, right? So we know diabetes is the number one cause for heart disease. Well, in order for your heart to maintain function, your heart has melanin. Your heart is very pigmented. You have melanocytes there. And then you also have neurons or nerve cells that regulate the heart. So, and those are, neuromelanin. So you have both. You have melanin and neuromelanin in the heart. So that's where sugar attacks the heart. Um, we know that diabetes is the number one cause of Alzheimer's and dementia. And we know that Alzheimer's and dementia is categorized by loss of neuromelanin in key centers of the brain. So again,
Mm-hmm.
that's diabetes attacking the pigment centers in the brain. So once you start to notice that diabetes just, is like a code for melanin disease. You know what I'm saying? It's like this
Right,
sugar is
right,
just so then at that point, I started to really try to understand, like, is this a genocidal thing or is this like coincidence? And lo and behold, I find out that you know, slavery um was the key to this whole little shit. A lot of movies and TV shows program us to believe that slavery was about picking cotton,
right,
and slavery was not about picking no fucking cotton. Okay, because people grew old in the cotton fields. My homeboy,
mm-hmm.
um, Bronx, you know what I'm saying? His mom grew up picking cotton. You know what I'm saying? Like people grew old
Right,
and died of old age from picking cotton. You know what I'm saying? The cotton field life was not that brutal, right? And I'm saying that to say you wouldn't have needed to replace slaves as a slave owner. Slaves reproducing amongst themselves and using studs and all that would have done good to replace the slaves, and you would have never needed to like constantly. So that whole thing was based in the sugar field. Slavery was based around sugar in the sugar field. Black people only lived 5 to 9 years after their first day of working in the sugar field. So white folks had
mm,
300. Yeah, they had white folks had 300 years to study how sugar was able to cripple us and kill us very fast.
right,
And
right.
that's
That's
why
what
they
that was about.
constantly needed to, yeah, that's why they constantly needed to replace slaves because they was dying in the sugar field so fast. But the sugar field was the number one bag. That was the where the money was. Cotton wasn't making that much money. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. It was too much trouble to go through to deal with slaves and uprisings and all that to sell no fucking cotton. Cotton wasn't making that kind of money. Sugar,
Did they have any like salt like refinery places?
I'm sure they did, but that wasn't the bag. The bag was sugar.
Right,
That's why Christopher Columbus
right,
is celebrated. Christopher Columbus is celebrated. Like this is an uglier part of history that white folks would rather not discuss, right? So they
mm-hmm.
would rather they would rather look stupid.
Um,
They would rather look stupid than tell an uncomfortable truth, meaning you in second or third grade, common sense kick in. You say to yourself immediately, you know, Christopher Columbus could not have discovered America if motherfuckers was already here, right? How could he discover somewhere where people was already at? So
right,
clearly, that's not why Christopher Columbus is celebrated. Christopher Columbus is
mm-hmm.
celebrated because he was the plug. Sugar doesn't grow naturally in North America. He was the first person to bring the sugar plant here and plant the sugar cane in America. So that's why Christopher Columbus is famous because he created the white wealth machine, which was slavery in the
Right.
sugar field. You know what I'm saying? So that's where he got it popping, and that's where they got to study us and really understand how sugar cripples our ability to to survive. Like it's kryptonite for black folks. You know what I'm saying? So
And
once I
the sugar cane business is big in like the islands. Like, and you
absolutely.
know they say that's one of the places that supposedly he didn't make it past. He didn't have to go no further. Based on what you just broke down, you feel me? Like,
Yeah, he brung that sugar cane over here to the north, and they got it popping from there. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't looked back since. You know what I'm saying? Now you got 60 something different types of sugar, and it's it's crazy now. It's everywhere. But sugar creates a variety. Sugar is the doorway to cancer, heart disease, and brain disease in black folks. Um, Sugar affects every facet of our life. There's no killer in all of written history more efficient at killing black people than type 2 diabetes. So if you do the math, there's no amount of black on black violence that could come close to how much black folks have died from diabetes. There's no cancer numbers that can compare to type 2 diabetes numbers, because all of those things are attributed back to diabetes. In order
Mm-hmm.
to get an accurate number on type 2 diabetes, you would have to even look at the pandemic. When the numbers came back, most of the people that was dying from the pandemic was black folks. And they told you what the number one risk factor was: metabolic disease, type 2 diabetes, and
Mm-hmm.
pre-diabetes. So even the pre-diabetes and diabetes opened up people's immune system, so that they can be susceptible to the pandemic. And so like that's what it is. Like there's a gateway drug, there's a gateway illness. You know what I'm saying? And for black folks, it's sugar. You know, and
No, that's
even
real.
the way even the common ways that we conceptualize it, based on insulin and glucose, that's not correct. You know what I'm saying? Insulin is not something that insulin's first job is not to help your muscles burn sugar. Insulin's first job is to help you put
Mm-hmm.
on weight. So, giving
Hmm.
black folks insulin to deal with type 2 diabetes is only a way to do what? Manage the illness, to stretch out the illness, but you can't get cured. That's why there's never been a black person cured with insulin before, ever. Ever. There's never been anyone, black, white, yellow, or in
Mm-mm.
between, cured with insulin, because the one of the number one risk factors for diabetes is obesity, and insulin makes you gain weight. So you can't be on a daily substance that makes you put on weight and then be cured from an illness caused by weight gain. Like, it doesn't make sense. Um, it's a circle of going chasing your tail. Um, but when you learn what regulates insulin, glucose, muscles, muscle metabolism, and all those things in the body, it'll bring you right back to understanding that this is a melanin disease, because we create a compound in our brain. It's a hormone actually called melanin concentrating hormone, and that's the hormone that actually regulates your sugar, your insulin, your hunger, your all of those things associated with your metabolism, right? And also the production of melanin. You know what I'm saying? So once you begin to really learn about that, you learn how a group of people that, they could sit on the outside and get us to poison and kill ourselves by just understanding more about our bodies than we do. On your
Right.
melanocyte, which is the cell that makes melanin in your body, you have receptors for opium. You have opioid receptors on your melanocyte. So what does that mean? That means that black people are more addictive to or sugars are more addictive to black folks. Cocaine is more addictive to black folks. Crack is more addictive to black folks. Heroin is more addictive to black folks, because we have more active melanocytes, which means we have more active opioid receptors, right? Um, we have
Right.
a sh- we have a stronger reward pathway in the brain, because that's a dopamine pathway, which is produced via neuromelanated cells. So we have a stronger cascade of chemicals when we take these drugs. So once we start to really put together the science, you know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of um, getting to the application part. Like, once we learn all of the things about our body, then we just gotta learn how to apply this stuff. Hold on, let me go make my battery. I gotta plug my computer in
No,
real
you
quick.
good.
And then
You good.
we only got 12 minutes left. We only got 12 minutes left. I got another interview at 9 o'clock. So we gotta
That's
do a part
amazing.
two.
That's
Actually,
amazing,
you
man.
know what? We're gonna do a part two with Suave on Sunday, I believe.
For
Hold on, let me
sure.
put my computer.
No, for sure. We definitely doing the part two, y'all. Y'all get ready, get ready. As y'all see, bro is hey, he brought the bag today. He brought the bag today, and it's plenty goodies in that bag. But we also finding out a lot of the things we thought was good for us ain't it all. You know what I'm saying? And we learning the connection between the Americas and this sugar situation that we got going on. That's a big problem for us. I never even knew that insulin at one point in time was considered to be a way of trying to cure diabetes, because it's just been coupled along with causing a comfortability for people. You know what I'm saying? So I never like, but it makes sense because a lot of these things when they brought into existence is to provide a cure. You know what I'm saying? And treatment and cure in certain sectors are supposed to be synonymous. But yeah, appreciate that brother for coming through, dropping a plethora of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? As y'all see, we gonna have a lot to pick from when he does come back for part two.
Wait a minute.
You
Somebody
back,
in the chat
bro?
room said, yeah, somebody in the chat room said, I love sugar. We all do. That's what I'm trying to explain. That shit hardwired into your motherfucking system for you to love sugar.
It really is.
But sugar's a toxic, it's a drug, it's a drug. And
Mm-hmm.
it affects us in so many different ways. And we just don't, we just information, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want to leave you hanging on the eye of Heru. You also asked about that. So the
Correct.
two things I asked about that we didn't get to, I remember impotence and the eye of Heru. So the actual
Mm-hmm.
um with the eye of Heru, the actual structure, you know what I'm saying? And I got a couple of niggas. When I say mad, I'm talking about red hot mad. Like niggas is upset because you got certain Kemetic scholars, African scholars
Mm-hmm.
that done established
Yeah.
themselves as a scholar based on what they understand
Facts.
behind this Aya Heru, and they wrong. They got to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? The Aya Heru does not represent like the physical brain centers and stuff like that. What the Aya Heru
Mm.
represents is the ventricle system in the brain, or that runs through
Facts.
and around the brain. It represents the fluid in the brain. So,
Mm.
um, one thing, if Suave could scroll down to the picture, when you see it, it's
Let me
just so
see.
clear. Or matter of fact, let me share my screen. I'll pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up so people can see it real quick.
Move on to damn question 4. We still on question. We just on question 4.
Hold on,
Hold on, yeah.
my bad.
Nah, you good.
All right, all right. Hold on. Can you hit the share screen for me?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, is that mine's right there?
Yeah, I thought that was you right there. Can you scroll down on it?
No, I think that's Suave's.
All right, give me one.
If you go
Let
to
me see.
mine's, you'll see the Aya Heru up there.
Oh, okay, I see.
Okay, yeah, you see it now. So when you look at the ventricle
Yeah.
system in the brain, the ventricle system in the brain, I mean, it's a dead ringer. And it just so happened that, I had a lot of studies, and we can go into it. Like I said, when we do the part two, I guess we could start there. You know what I'm saying? But there was a lot that just pointed to that. You know what I'm saying? Even this statue of Caffrey, you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's a weird ass picture with this bird on the back of his head like that. You know what I'm saying? If you don't really understand what you're looking at. Um, but yeah, so that's what the Aya Heru represents. You know what I'm saying? And people can go check out the article. I dropped the link in the chat. I'm sure Swab dropped it in the description for everybody. But then the other thing with the impotence, inside your blood
Mm-hmm.
vessels you have a pigment called melanopsin. So the sugar actually crystallizes all throughout the system, and it shuts down your ability to get circulation through the capillaries and things like that. And so that's kind of why the feet
Mm-hmm.
get amputated. That's why the people with diabetes go deaf. That's why they lose their eyesight, and that's also why sugar makes you impotent. And instead of us changing up our lifestyle and fixing some other things, a lot of times we go to some we get goofballs putting together herbs for circulation. That's another thing with herbs. Herbs could be dangerous when niggas don't know what the fuck they doing. because
again.
niggas will do like 20 minutes worth of research and think they know something, and they don't know shit. They know just enough to be fucking dangerous. So they'll find out
Yeah.
that they'll find out that impotence is a circulation issue. So then
Mm.
their next step is to Google herbs for circulation. And they look up about
Right.
10 herbs that's good for circulation. They go buy them in powder form, mix them up into capsules. Bam, they got a herb capsule program for your penis. And, you know, niggas take the herbs, they get a hard on. They like, yo, this must be good. And they don't understand that if that nigga had really been a fucking herbalist, he would know that that was dangerous, because you have a filtration system built into your circulatory system to keep the more fragile tissues clean. So this is
Mm-hmm.
why the capillaries get so small, is so that way certain things like sugar and other things that would be toxic to the tissues aren't able to
Can't
get
pass.
in. And so
Right.
when you get Viagra or you take these herbal circulation supplements or compounds, that forces the blood into the penis with the sugar and everything else. And that shit gets in there and starts to tear up the nerves and the tissues. Now you get a hard on, it's going to keep you hard for the next, you could use the supplements for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, but after a while, those things getting into the tissues is going to start to damage the nerves and the tissues in those areas. So you really hurting yourself by forcing a hard on. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not the way to do that. You know what I'm saying? Niggas don't know what the fuck they doing.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? That's
That
why niggas should not be overnight herbalists. But the problem is, again, niggas see me with gold teeth, gold chain, and I talk the way I talk, so they think, oh, he must be a hustler. So this must be a hustle. And shit, I could hustle just as good as the next
mm.
nigga. So I'm gonna get me some herbs and I'm gonna get my hustle on and get me a few dollars. You don't know that you're
Right,
fucking up
right.
the whole bag for everybody that really lived this way. That's why, sometimes I speak on things and speak on people like niggas like, damn, Ink, why you went in on Dame Dash and Master P? Niggas could do whatever they want to do with their money and woo woo woo. I'm like, yo, I'm not saying anything about what Dame Dash do with his money. Of course, you as a man, you earn your money, you spend your money, you do what the fuck you want to do. But you open
Right.
yourself up to comment from me when you say you giving back to the black community, like you some type of activist or you actually live this life. It's the same as how niggas feel about Tekashi 6ix9ine. See, these niggas don't understand that this is just as real in every other field of life. You know what I'm saying? If you're not an
Right.
accountant and you frauding like you an accountant, it's up to accountants to say that nigga ain't no fucking accountant. He ain't went to no accounting school. He not one of us. He's a fraud.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
when niggas see
That's right.
Tekashi 6ix9ine pretending to be a gangster, it's up to real gangsters and street niggas to say he's not one of us. We don't know that nigga from
Mm-hmm.
anywhere out in the street. So when these niggas pretend like they have dedicated some portion of their life to giving back to the black community, it's up to real niggas that live this life to say, nah, bro, you're not giving back to no fucking black community. Don't use that as a scam to make money, nigga. Especially if you
Right,
like
right.
Dame Dash, you got diabetes. So the moment that you're investing in liquor companies and wine companies and dessert businesses,
Mm.
you're not giving back to the black community, nigga, unless you're giving back diabetes to the black community, because liquor is 100% sugar. 100%
Come on.
sugar. Master P,
This
you made all that money, and the only thing he coming around now, he talking about he's giving back to the black community by making potato chip businesses and ramen noodle businesses.
and
Like, my
noodles and
that's
yeah.
genocide, bro. You're not giving back. Now, if they were to say that they just entrepreneurs and they just left it at that, I would stand back and take notes like I do, because I studied Dame Dash as a entrepreneur and a mogul. I studied Master P as an entrepreneur and
Right.
a mogul. But when you try to put yourself in an activist space, like you somebody that gives a fuck about black people in general, or changing the future trajectory of black people, then that's when niggas that dedicate their life to this got to step up and say, bro, hold on now. Now you stepping on my toes. This nigga, we live this for real. This ain't what the fuck you do. You sell liquor, my nigga. You sell ramen noodles, my nigga. You not over here with us.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
that's,
think that's
that's yeah. So that's where, that's where I kind of speak out on some of these things. Plus, I know a lot of these goofball niggas ain't gonna say nothing because they so thirsty for a
not
fucking, like I said, they so thirsty for a fucking opportunity that they scared to mention one of these guys' names because, in the future I might get a record deal with Master P.
right, right.
I'm like, nigga, get the fuck out of here, bro. Is you riding for the people, or you trying to get a fucking deal somewhere, bro? What are you doing? Because you can't do both. You can't serve
Exactly.
two masters, my nigga. Either you work for the people, or
Come
you
on.
chasing your bag. And if you chasing your bag, listen, that's respectable. That's respectable, commendable, nigga. We come from poverty, so we need that, and we need
Right.
niggas to
Get your
teach us
bag.
how to do that. You know what I'm saying? But nah, don't pretend like you put pain in over here doing this, because nigga, we just spent 10, 20, 30 years doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Come
nah,
on
I
now.
put time for you to pretend like this is what you do. This ain't what you do.
And that brings us full circle to what you was talking about when we first started. About the look and how when you look a certain way, people want to put you in this box, right? And how people have learned to basically monetize, the black plight. Whether it's the struggle or us coming into information, right?
Facts.
With people recognizing that we coming into information, I'm starting to see that your so-called entertainers are being charged to speak on things that, like you're alluding to, they don't know. They don't know. And here it is, they don't been allowed to speak on other topics freely. They feel like this just another, you know what I'm saying? It's just another transition, but it's not. Because like you
Yeah.
saying, it's people lives that's
Yeah.
hanging in the balance,
Just like
as
niggas
well
that
as
come out the street. Listen, niggas that be in the street for
mhm,
10, 20 years, and they really live that life, they're offended when people pretend like they came from the street. So
facts.
don't be a street nigga and try to pretend like you're a conscious nigga. Don't try to pretend like you a community nigga. Like, don't try to pretend you a black activist. Don't
Right,
don't do
right.
have the same integrity for other people's shit as you want people to have for your shit. That's all that is. You know what I'm
Come
saying?
on
But
now.
with
That
that being
step
said,
though. Right.
I gotta say peace to the family. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the interview.
Peace, King.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks to the
Appreciate
Argument
you.
League. Thanks for everybody in the chat. I will see y'all Sunday.
We'll see you in a minute, my G.
Yeah,
Appreciate
yeah,
you,
yeah. But
King.
everybody read
Hey,
that
much
article
love.
so that way y'all can have questions and go in, and we can keep building on Sunday.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go even more in depth with that. Appreciate you, King, stopping through, showing us love, grace, and the platform. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate the people for pulling up. As you see, this is conversations with gold. I appreciate y'all tapping in, seeing what's happening. You feel me? Let me check out from the chat, make sure we don't got no conversations that need, some immediate intention. I want to make sure I start off by saying, let me take my glasses off for this. Make sure I start off by saying my appreciations for my bro Suave. Um, I want to thank again. I already thank brother Enqi, and I want to thank everybody that's in attendance because you could have been anywhere in the world doing anything, but you chose to pull up and learn some information that could be applicable to improving your health. And I feel like that should be commended. When we live in a world where people not doing what they're supposed to be doing, supposedly, you have to appreciate people that are looking out for themselves, taking care of themselves, making sure they good. You know what I'm saying? If y'all don't know, again, I am Goldmine of the AOI, affiliation of intelligence. And if you identify with intelligence, you are looking for intelligence on a day-to-day basis, then you are AOI. You are an affiliation of intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Like, do not get it twisted, y'all. At the end of the day, when it comes to making sure your life is straight, making sure everything good on your end, it's important that you do not close up the mind to information. Learn as much as you can out here. Learn, because it's too much information out here for us to learn, for us not to know, for us not to know. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's a light in here that's kind of burning me up, kind of burning me up. But yeah, like I said, let me check in the audience, make sure we don't got no conversation that needs some immediate attention. If not, you feel me? We gonna wrap this thing up. As y'all see, there's a link out here for the article for those who might want to look more into it and go about figuring out what you would want to be asked. Because I did pay attention to a lot of the questions in the chat and made sure to bring that to his attention. So I do see one in the chat that I didn't get around to, JJ, and that's about the microdosing. I definitely would ask him how he feels about that. One thing I will say, that's more of a shaman type of interest when you want to get deeper into your intuition and your understandings of the spiritual realm. But I don't see why it would hurt, to get into that type of conversation when it comes to health in general. Like, see how somebody who's a health expert feels about you doing something of that nature. So I definitely get what you're saying. Definitely get what y'all saying about that. Again, like I said, I want to give everybody in the attendance a shout out. Feel me, everybody, because you could have been doing anything. Probably was doing a little bit of everything. You feel me? Before you got up in here, but you made the time for self. You made the time to do something that was gonna better yourself. Again, we going from the idea to being able to apply. This information will help you speed up your recovery time. Those who have been paying attention to a lot of the videos that I've been dropping, like we talk about, you know, the processes of making certain changes to transition where we are. Don't feel so down on yourself about the things that you're doing now in your life that you feel like you can't make a change. You can't make the change. Like, these are necessary changes. Your life is so valuable. Like, it's so precious to the point I'm doing this to show you that I appreciate you. I'm giving people of me the conversations that I'm being privileged to because of the people that are being drawn to my light because I'm seeking information as well. So that being said, family, put yourself in the mix and I see you in a little bit. Say. Ain't it a beautiful thing when kings and queens intervene and just change up the whole scene? Yeah, me, kinfo. Let me see what they talking about. Let me see what they talking about. Let me see what they talking about. Pull up a chair. Come over here to the round table where we break it all down. Say what? We just broke bread right now. I love you as myself, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. As we are one, and I'm so glad we in connection. I'm so glad. Peace within, peace out. Lolly day. We out, y'all.